Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, joined today by somebody you may remember from back in the tabletop days, Lessons. How about you go and introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, I go by Lessons Learned on the internet as well on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm streaming. Actually, today I start again Mecha Mondays. I'm doing Armored Core 7, 6, whatever happens to be the name right now. Uh, well, if I can defeat the boss that has me stuck in it. And basically doing regular streaming back on that at it again during the week as well with Spider-Man and some other stuff. So this is Goldson that being invited to be here.
Yeah, I remember I thought it was funny that you have Mecha Mondays, and here on the channel we have Mobile Suit Mondays, so not too far apart. Back in the day, though, you offered up the suggestion that we should watch, was it Macross Frontier? Was that what it was?
Yeah, Macross Frontier, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, since we didn't watch it, it lost the vote. So it's been sitting on the bottom of my list of things that lost the vote that I may one day watch. And I was putting together this whole list of like doing the whole Macross series possibly, or at least Macross Zero. And I asked you, hey, are you interested? Since it was your suggestion, and you said, of course,
Yeah.
yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been here. But uh, but yeah, I guess if you've watched some of Macross, you've said before, right?
I watch extensively. I think there's only two series. The last one, which is Macross Delta and Macross 7. I watched a little bit of 7, but the whole guitar thing was like, yeah, maybe watch it later. And I never got around to it. So yeah.
So in this, you'll be like Griffin is for me when we watch Full Metal Alchemist. That's his show. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Macross?
Well, to make a very long story short, Super Dimensional Fortress Macross is a show from Japan, anime early 80s. It started as a parody of Gundam, giant robots, war, and all that. But it
I just
quickly
uh,
evolved.
I just got
Yeah,
done
evolved
watching
into a thing.
Gunbuster, which also started
Yeah,
as a parody of Gundam.
yeah, yeah. It started like that, but it's really one. I think the show that really cemented the real robot genre. Because in Gundam, the Gundam starts like super heroic, and then as it goes, other machines kind of beat it and all that. But you have the kid who has to learn, and it's gone back and forth. But this is the transforming robot series where every robot, if it's not for the pilot being a hero, they get blown away with a single shot kind of thing.
So
And
it has plot armor still.
yeah, it has plot armor, but even then, it's all about the pilot being good. Although there's a running joke in the main series that the hero is always getting shut down, but but he still lives, so partial plot armor.
To be seen.
Um, yeah, so there's that. And for me, through and some people in American audiences might know this about Robotech, which was the introduction of this series to that. That's a whole kettle of fish I don't want to get to because we don't have the 3 hours or 4 or 5 hours to talk about it. But suffice to say, that's how it got introduced into America. And it's also one of the reasons why, until very recently, you couldn't see a lot of this stuff in outside of Japan because of legalese and problems.
Yeah,
But they seem to have solved it. Yeah.
I think we've both watched the Secret Galaxy 3 hour video about the history
Yeah.
of Robotech, and Robotech itself is based on three different series anyway, so it's
Yeah.
not just Macross.
Yeah, originally it was going to be Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, but they didn't have enough episodes to do a syndication, so they added another series from the same studio with Super Dimensional Army Southern Cross, and then they stitched together also made by that studio, but for another project, which is Genesis Climate Mosquito. And they tied it together with this idea of protoculture and all that, which is also a very important thing in Robotech, especially in this first series, the whole thing about protoculture, but they mean completely different things. So if you're coming at this from Robotech side, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's supposed to be this other thing with flowers of life and energy and all that. And here it's literally what it says on the tin. It's the original culture, the protoculture. That's it.
Yeah. I think preference here on the channel anyway is always to watch the pure, not the pure, but at least the Japanese thing and not
Mm,
the imported American thing.
yeah.
Because, they change stuff and then they merge animes together. So, want to get what was intended.
Mhm.
Other than that, there are, I know, elements about the show. Of course, like Macross whatever you call it. I think the city mech thing. Again,
Mhm.
I know nothing. You know everything. Um, it was at one point one of the largest mechs in anime. I think only
Yeah,
itself rivaled by Gunbuster. Once again, I
yeah.
don't know when did the first Macross come out.
1982, I think.
So maybe it
Yeah.
was first. I think Gunbuster comes out in mid '80s. I can't really remember.
Actually,
Maybe
88,
'88.
89,
Yeah,
88, 89. It's got Gainax, and these guys are, the I forgot the company does it, but yeah, they're a different company.
yeah. I was about to say
Um,
Harmony Gold, but that's Robotech, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of the largest. I mean, it's like a giant ship that has a city in it and also transforms into a
Yeah,
giant
well,
robot with
that
a,
was
you know,
like with Griffin, Full Metal Alchemist, his favorite anime. My favorite anime is Gurren Lagann, so I don't think I'm ever going to be rivaled. So,
yeah. I
but
mean, yeah, it does. This still tries to keep it within reason, and Gurren Laga is like, okay, we're just gonna be crazy
look,
from the get go,
half a
just have
mech
fun.
the
Yeah,
size the universe is not
yeah,
going to be rivaled. I guess I
yeah,
guess they did leave you a little bit of room if you made a mech the size of the universe.
yeah. Its own
But
universe. So yeah.
but yeah, I guess my one thing is like when we were me and Griff do Gundam per se. Um, there aren't any characters in these shows that cross from one show to the next, right?
Continuity here is there's some, especially Macross Hero to the original Macross. We'll talk to you about who it is when we get to it because I don't want to
Well,
unload everything.
I guess the reason I'm
But
bringing it up is I don't want to keep referencing back to other shit, but
mhm.
something I tend to do in long show series is I do a concept board where I try to lay out the characters and the relationships to one another, and it's preferable in shows that have multiple series that characters that actually cross over. But my
Oh,
understanding was that
okay,
Macross doesn't do that.
for the most part. There is a crossover. There's one character here you're going to see in the main series, in the first original series, and then there's one, actually, couple of characters that you're going to see on Macross 7, but that's the extent of it. Usually, each one has his own heroes, and even if you have crossover characters, they're not the main characters. Someone else becomes the main character, right? So it's like, okay, they're in the background to remind you that they're part of the shared universe,
And
but
as
that's
per
about it.
what you said, if they're not the main character, they can die. So,
Yeah,
so a
pretty much.
background former main character could be a dead person in a. All
Mm,
right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've got any other thoughts on my mind just now, since this is going to be the first episode I've ever seen of Macross, and it's going to be a prequel story. Anything else you want to say?
This is ironically, well, Macro 7. This is where things get very interesting, very kind of weird.
Well, this is Zero.
Macross Zero, yeah. There's aspects of this which, if you see all the series, like, where did this come from, right? And there's an aspect of creeping kind of magic thing going on, super technology kind of thing with the proto culture. And ironically, I think that that's kind of influenced by stuff like Robotech, but they will never admit it, right? But it's here, and so it feels like later installment weirdness, like, oh, it's just some aliens with high technology, and then stuff that happens here, you're like, what? What's going on here, right? But at the same time, they try to explain the evolution of the mechs and all that, how prototypes and like, so it's a combination of things. Eventually, this is a good entry if you want to know the backstory, right? This is before the main events of the original story. There's a war going on, essentially alternate history in the 1990s because of this alien ship introduced all this technology. So now the factions of the Earth are fighting over, how to best use it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
they do the cardinal sin of sci-fi of entering a date in that could have been reached in a lifetime of the author.
Yeah. Essentially 1990 was when things started. So I think from the very beginning, I think they knew that it was going to be divergent history because it's in 1982 and you're setting in 1990. So most people are going to be alive. If they're teenagers in Macross or Macross, they're going to be adults by 1990. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's that, then I say we just go ahead and get into it.
子供の頃のことはあまりよく覚えていない。ごく普通に遊び、ごく普通に暮らし
Pilots
ていた。
always got pictures in their cockpits.
だけど、
Which in
あの
fact
日のこと
something
は
that
忘れない。
in real life you're not allowed
あの
to.
日、
I think it's a carryover from the Kamikaze, particularly.
I'm assuming it's a carryover from everything. Every media does it. I'm assuming there's
Yeah, I know.
books where they look at their pictures in the cockpits and describe in words.
Yeah. But I particularly love the Kamikaze pilots brought, because they knew that we're not going to come back, they would bring stuff, pictures, and other things with them, so.
Interesting note. Some kamikaze pilots did come back, and they were incredibly shamed for it.
Now, I said 1990, but it actually starts 1999, so it's the first decade of the 21st century.
Pistachios. And just to clarify, this is us fighting ourselves, right?
Yeah. Big Gulf War energy, basically, if you think about it. Like, they just ripped images from the Gulf War and what have you.
I mean, that's the basis of the imagery I'm used to seeing for the stealth bomber. But again, that's also where I was growing up, so... Not where I was growing up, the era of which I was growing up in.
Thing is, by 1999, I think... No, the F-117 stopped flying by 2001, 2002, so yeah.
Well, you know, given the country of origin, I would have just assumed that these were zeros. I don't know how much sci-fi aerial combat shit you read, but if there's ever like a World War III or anything like that, and Japan has a working air force, they call their new high-tech airplanes zeros again, for some reason. At least in all the things I've ever read.
Yeah.
If you've read more, then you know more than me.
What's interesting about this dogfight is that the designer, the main person behind Macross, is Shiwari. He is an aircraft designer. He has a... So some of this stuff is, you know, kind of accurate, right?
Sure. Kind of like the way we watch 86, and the author of that is actually a military historian, if not just a military otaku.
Yeah.
Except yours is obviously more legitimate.
Oh, this is very much ripped out of Top Gun and nothing else, right? F-14.
Well, I wouldn't use that as an example. I watch actual aircraft pilots react to Top Gun and point out how stupid some of the shit is and that how it doesn't work.
I mean, yeah, but I mean,
or how you'd lose your career for doing some things.
Oh yeah. Didn't he fire those missiles? Yeah, I think he did.
Well, it was the ones that were wing mounted, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was counting it. Yeah. At least the machine guns didn't act like, you know, like machine guns just putting little holes in the plane. They just blew the hell out of it. So there you go. And he's an ace, of course. The thing they always do in pictures, they take off the mask.
Just as a reminder, how many kills is an ace?
5. 5 or more. Those small glasses to be wearing a pilot with all the G's that he has to pull. Or Rio in his case.
How long ago were contact lenses invented for mass production, or not mass production, for commercial use?
70s at least. Oof. Oh, there goes the wingman.
Yeah, it came from above. I do like the art of the sky, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, pulling positive G will help you because that's, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, aren't there outfits designed to compress specifically to avoid
Yeah,
most of that?
yeah. When you pull G's, normally your suit contracts around your thighs, your stomach, and your legs, so the blood comes up. But when you have positive G, it goes all the way. You know, it's pulled in your brain, and you can't have a helmet that just, you know, contract your brain.
I was about to call it a mobile suit, because I don't know
Yeah.
what to call it here.
I don't know. I mean, I know they call the
It's a
ground-based units
transformer.
destroids. Yeah, but I don't Valkyries. But there's no. I guess mechs would be the name.
星々の間を渡る鳥の人が通りかかった。鳥の人の大いなる翼に驚き恐れながらも魚の人は
It's interesting how these are supposed to be Pacific Islanders and how the Japanese have this relationship with them, like Americans and Mexicans, right? It's like, oh, these are the people next door, but they're not quite like us. So there's sort of exoticism a little bit about them.
For half a second, I thought we were like post-World War III, and this was like the Mad Max telling the story about, you know, the before.
A little bit, yeah.
If I had to guess, fisherman.
Yeah.
But he's clearly the pilot that just got shut down, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's not ominous.
Well, it looks like it had a robot head.
Yeah.
See, it almost feels like it would fit in Raz Afon, because those could easily be the Mu.
Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing, they're speaking Japanese, but in fact, the superstition is actually speaking in English, and it's just Japanese for the audience.
Really?
That's why they can understand each other. Otherwise, you know, people why they be, you know, Pacific Islanders will be speaking Japanese, right?
Anime does that in a lot of different ways. I think it's the most confusing when you just subtitle it and give no indication what's happening.
Yeah, they mentioned the anti-UN alliance.
You mean the Warsaw Pact is back?
Kind of. Yeah.
カズンが草の裏に救うようになる。目が覚めたのなら、早く島から立ち去れ。くだらない。俺と一緒にもう一人いたはずだ。
My guy, it's a miracle you're alive.
触るな。もう一人がどこだ？どこにいる？あんた一人だったよ。何？流れ着いたのは一人だけ。もうそれよここら辺の潮は複雑だからここに流されてなかったら多分沖に流
Just to remind me, Macross is also the series where singing solves everything, isn't it?
Yes. Well, most of the time.
Because I'm trying to guess which one of these three is going to start singing.
何ちょっと待ってよお姉ちゃんまだ傷が治ってないよマオは黙って血が海に
My knowledge of anime is going to be Mao is eventually going to start singing.
血をたどってくるよ
Purple hair doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
If you close your eyes, you can hear the ocean from here.
Yeah.
海から来るカドゥンは力強い傷が治るまではここにいてよろしい風の調べもそう歌っている
よかったねいていいって私マオマウこっちはお姉ちゃん
Well, it's not magic like you had said, but it's clearly mysticism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it starts this way, and it'll ramp up eventually. Now that's pretty accurate. I mean, pieces of the aircraft would have, washed up. Yeah.
It's got a very Wonder Woman feel to it.
Yeah.
Forgetting his name, but
Damn,
Wonder
I
Woman's
think
love
that was his
interest
name.
who also gets shot down next to a...
Oh, yeah. Guess the Birdman is real.
Yeah, it looks like a mech that got drone on for some reason.
全く新しい理論の時空変動レーダーサイクロプスが稼働したことはご存知だと思います。その結果
They say over technology?
Yeah, that's the explanation for all the high tech, over technology. And yes, that was ASS-1.
Well, see, it wasn't capitalized like an abbreviation. It was just ASS-1.
コードネームエイフォスです。
ASS-1落下時の破片なのか
いいえ、正確な年代は機密事項 B1 に属することなのでお話しできませんが、周辺海域の海底土壌に含まれる異常磁気物質やプランクトンの変性遺伝子の分析からおそらく数万年以上前のものと推定されます。
数万年前そんなバカな人類はまだ石器時代のはずありがとうドクタ
Can't
ー
wait for our space agency to be called UN Spacey.
Yeah, that's the name of the good guys, basically. Or the human side. I think it's short for United States Space Force, but...
Yeah, I'm just making fun of the word, just adding a letter Y in there.
Yeah.
Spacey. There's a lot of fuckers in anime.
Yeah, that is. Although he's supposed to be based on the biplane maker. So
I'm just
yeah.
thinking of General Fucker from Full Metal Alchemist.
はい
なんで君が空母なんかに乗ってるのよ。
それはお互い様ですよ。せんぱい。
And there's your crossover character.
Well, I'm just thinking he clearly looks like he's meant to be like an American.
戦争になったらネバダがどっかに逃げるって言ってたくせに。
There's no way to think that he's speaking English when he says
学者様の
senpai.
学説とは違うよ。
学説だって変わるわ。そのために私はここにいる。
教えてくれないかな、昔のよしみで。なんで文化人類学専攻の先輩が特務部隊なんかにいるのか。
残念ね。機密事項 B1。少佐クラスの君には教えてあげられない。
ってことはズバリ人類プロトカルチャー干渉仮説の検証ってわけかな、アリエス先輩。
ロイ。
Like humans were messed with by aliens? Is that the thing?
There's a theory about it.
Oh, I mean, that's what he's referring to, right?
Yeah. But, again, the series doesn't really specify either way.
I guess that's the Godzilla crossover then. Well, I mean, you have Pacific Islanders that have been contacted by aliens in the far past that changed the course of their entire civilization. Boom. All now we have to do is have Godzilla rise from the depths.
Basically. Okay, the whole bathroom thing. I mean, I'm sure these people at least have like porta potties or something, or they would have had it inland. I mean, there's no reason to have it in the beach so that when people are fishing, the stuff will come in with them.
I don't know, it's been a
Or
long
be
time
that
since I've
ignorant.
been to the beach. I live near the beach, but I'm just thinking what are fish attracted by?
あの妙竹林な代物は。
あれはね、鳥の人だよ。
鳥の人？なんか鳥っつうよが飛行機みたいじゃねえか。
鳥の人はね、ずっと昔に星の海を渡ってこの島にやってきて、その時鳥の人が落っことしたウミガメの甲羅が砕けて、このマヤの島になったんだとさ。
海ガメが。
I guess the other thing that I know about the show is that the aliens are like giants, right?
Yeah.
But not birdmen.
No, that's the thing. It's like there's a protoculture. We never actually see the protoculture. They get mentioned a lot. So there's that. But
it's like a precursors thing.
Yeah.
1年前の嵐で発電機が壊れちゃったんだから。
発電機？なんだ、まだ使えそうじゃねえか。なんで誰も直さねえんだ？
だってさ、修理できそうな大人はみんな遠くの町に出稼ぎ行ったり。
No, that makes sense. It's not that people are ignorant of technologies. That the war has, people have gone to work or join the armed forces.
これくらい俺が修理してやるぜ。
本当？
ああ。助けてもらった俺。
Yeah, they're not like an isolated culture or anything. They're just in the boonies of the world.
なあ。あれなんだ？
ああ、やりべえのこと？あれはね、男の子が作るんだ。みんなどれが自分のかってわかるように形を工夫してね。で、ああやって僕のやりべえはこういう形ですよって見せるの。それで夜になったらデートしたい女の子の家の隙間からあれを差し込んで、女の子は気に入ったこのやりべえだったら中に引き入れて、あとは2人で夜中にデートってわけ。
And that's why they were laughing at you when you pointed at that
島
girl.
の風習、つまりラブレターってこと。
Flashback to confirm.
俺ラブレター突きつけてすごんでたのか。バカみてえに。
真剣だから余計おかしかったよ、あん時は。
違いね。
I mean, at the end of the day, you were still threatening her with a stick at the end of the day. Just everyone took it okay.
And then we go serious again. Yeah.
最後に笑ったのいつだったかな。
情報によれば、明朝反統合同盟が新型可変戦闘機を投入し、奇襲攻撃をかけてくることが予想されている。今こそ日頃の訓練の成果を見せる時が来た。どんなパイロットでも初めての戦場は怖いものだ。
Ace has got that in common with Gundam too. The bad guys invent the transforming thing first, or the humanoid thing first.
I mean, apparently they stole the technology from an ASS means alien starship something. I don't know what the third S is, but the first alien starship.
Well, no, that's only two.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's all there was. ASS, alien starship. That's all the S's you need.
原用ジェットじゃ最強の EGF-127 をカリカリにチューンして押し込んだスーパーレディーだから仕方がないけどな。
わかりました。せいぜい大切に扱わせていただきます。
No, he won't.
Well, I'm noticing he had the patch on his arm that had the skull and crossbones, and he's also had it painted on the. Well, I guess the whole squad does. Never mind.
Yeah.
SWAG エネルギー転換型装甲は戦車並みにタフじゃなかった。
Swag energy.
操縦するのがお前じゃな。しかしいくら機体が頑丈でも飛ばすのがあんなひよっこばかりではな。
戦乱の長期化による人員不足はすでに限界を超えています。
腕のいい男たちはみんな死んだ。
必ず連れ帰ってみせます。 VF0 もひよっこたちも。
It's currently 1999 in the show, right?
Yeah.
How long has the fighting been going on?
I think I think it's a couple of years later. So they don't tell exactly what it is. It starts in 1999. That's when the ship crashes.
Yeah. That's
So
what
I
I'm saying.
think the war lasts about 7 or 8 years, but I don't know exactly when in that 7 or 8 year period. But by 2010, the war is over, more or less.
嫌よ。あんな古臭い歌。
Does it mean to indicate that they're indicating a vast loss of skilled personnel, which would indicate that the war has been going on a pretty long time and for pretty hard.
Yeah, it is a global war, you know.
何が呪われた都会のカドゥよ。この父さんや母さんの写真だって町から来た旅行者が撮ってくれなかったらこうして残っていなかったのよ。
それはけど本当の思い出は心の中にさえあれば。
姉ちゃんのバカ。
真央。
It's kind of weird that they do have technology, but they're kind of not happy about it, and you know,
Well, I mean,
all over the place with it.
It fits the narrative, right? Because we're currently in a world war about the crashed alien spaceship, right? So, but again, I was thinking that, and also thinking to myself, well, ASS-1 indicates that the other side has reverse engineered the alien tech, which means that they've got control over it. So,
no, I think the hint is more like they got, you know, they have espionage and people have defected and stuff like that. So yeah, the UN has the actual technology, but the other side is able to steal or you know, shared secrets or whatever, and they got ahead with it first.
誰に見せるラブレターなのかな。お、こんなにいっぱい、こんなに見せたい男がいるのか。
違うわ。
へへ、巫女さんのバイトだけじゃ食っていけないんで、内職して売り歩くってわけか。
I honestly don't know what was just implied to me.
I think it's like she doesn't get a lot of these little letters, but she actually helps other people get together. She's like she helps the guys to get their women, but she doesn't get
exactly
any
what was said then. Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking for a subtext. Or, you know, surprise thing like, oh, that's actually not a girl at all, or something, you know. I'm so used to the subversion of anime.
Yo, yeah.
So she's got the future sight.
Yeah.
風が吹く。滅びをもたらすカドゥンを乗せて。恐ろしい風が。
See, if she was a little bit more technologically literate, she could have said that in a way he would understand.
Yeah. Also, to go to the early thing about Skull Squadron is based on a real squadron of the nice Navy called the Jolly Rogers. So we have the same symbol, but of course they couldn't call it Jolly Rogers, so they call it Skull Squadron.
I was thinking of the wild weasels, which also sometimes have a skull motif on their thing, because they're supposed to get, or not supposed to get, they're meant to get shot at, not shot down. Realistically, it's taking you a long time to transform. Those missiles are still coming right at you.
Yeah.
Cool, we've militarized the technology that allows Stephen Hawking to talk. No regard for the people on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice the upside-down cross carved into the mountain.
It might not be important whatsoever.
Yeah, the bird people from the past were vehemently anti-Christian. That's all.
We know that it will come out, so we're gonna striking against it 10,000 years before, or 7,000 years
Well,
before.
we've already established future sites, I think. Why couldn't the bird people have it? Yeah, the terrifying thing of never having listened to anything louder than a radio, and now just explosions all over the place.
That's the first episode.
Yeah, I mean, not bad. It did give me a lot of, I would say, Raw Zaphon vibes. Raw Zaphon meets Gundam, I guess. I don't know if I want to say Gundam. I guess I could just say Raw Zaphon, because they've got the fighter planes that are more advanced there, too.
Yeah. Although this really leans on the transformation aspect of this. Like Gundam, some of them do, some of them don't. You know,
OG Gundam is the, not transformation, but combining. That, like, your OG Gundam is 3 different parts that have to come together. Otherwise, it's just a core fighter, legs, and a top.
Yeah. Well, it kind of has some information because the core fighter transformed from the central part to...
It's an interchangeable piece. You can put the core fighter also into the gun cannon. I think also the gun tank. But again, it's just a assemblable piece, not itself it doesn't transform. The gunfighter is still the gunfighter if you take it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was a good episode. It was very, I think if you remove the mystic element of the mecha or things from the past brought to the future and then the alien wreckage thing, you could make a normal World War III movie out of this.
Yeah. I think it's more, I mean, so far, it's more of, oh, this is happening and this is why we have the giant robots that transform, right? You know, that's the idea with the whole alien thing thrown in for good measure.
I think that's an element that you'd actually have to have watched the first series for that to make more sense, because otherwise it's like, okay, you got space tech, but you made weird transforming airplanes out of it? I figure you could just do the normal thing and make a more powerful bomb. Yeah. That seems like the normal thing to do. I'm going to assume that
planes, you know.
Well, I'm going to assume we're going to get eventually to the whole Macross Fortress thing, and it's going to have a power source that's stronger than what we normally have, which is what you do with bombs.
Yeah. That's a whole over technology thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Also a weird thing to call it. Because obstinately, it's still just technology.
Yeah, but I think they use the over technology so they don't call it nuclear. Because the Japanese tend to avoid, for the most part, any mention of nuclear technology and nuclear weapons.
I think
I
the
mean,
thing
some
is,
do, some don't. You know.
well, I think the thing is that you don't have to call it nuclear technology. You could still just call it technology. Nuclear technology is technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I guess you've watched this before, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my thoughts on this are sometimes I have deep thoughts or things I have problems with that I'll rant about for a good half hour, whatever. There's not really a lot to rant here. I think a lot of my thoughts here are surface level because as I said, I was trying to read into stuff and there was nothing really I wanted to read into, or rather, the subversions that I was going to expect from typical anime didn't come. Like, oh, why are you carving all these sticks? Only men carve. Oh my god, is that actually a man? And we've just been misgendering this whole time? No, it's just another thing. Exactly what he said when he told her that.
Yeah, I mean, this more or less plays it aside from the alien vision thing, it just plays it pretty much straight, right? And so far. So there's that. Again, I think this is more appeals to the people who, like I said, already watched it and are curious about what happened before, and you get this prequel and where it comes from, right? Um, rather than, oh, this is a completely new story, that sending the story in a different direction, so to speak, right? It's that kind of thing. And in fact, one of the things about Macross overall is kind of repetitive. Like it's the same story more or less. Boy meets girl, boy gets to be giant robot pilot, and shenanigans happen with an alien race that comes to try to mess up things, right? Each one has own flavor, but that's basically the basic formula.
Yeah, I mean, but you can do a lot with that. I think we
Of
can say
course.
Gundam is the same formula constantly, but you have different points of view, you have different locations, and how that, like, oh 08 Gundam MS Team, that is Gundam in Vietnam, basically, and that changes the whole perspective from, say, OG Gundam, which is a growing up story during wartime, really, and then Gundam Origin, which we did the same thing there that you might not want to do here, which is watch the prequel story, which is literally why is Char so fucking angry all the time?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can see where this is coming from. Different stories, same setup, same action. It's just fine. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's also just harder to judge based on the first episode when you've got none of the whole story. Because I can see like coming back to this halfway through the original series, say, and looking back like, oh, I see what that was about now. So it's more about retrospective, but having it in the pocket to pull from instead of just sitting there watching the show and, yeah, I'd like to know what happened before this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Enterprise to Star Trek, or sometimes even parts of the prequels to Star Wars. But that one is like,
Hey, I mean, I'm
Whatever.
clearly about it. My favorite Star Trek book is Best Destiny, which is a shit teenage. I'm gonna say Picard. Brain, work with me. Captain of the Enterprise, the original one.
Kirk.
Yes, I don't know why my brain stopped working. Well, because I'm remembering Captain April, who is like the major person there. Kirk's dad takes Kirk off on a journey to get his shit straight, and bad stuff happens. It's like, that's my favorite one, because it's basically MacGyver in space, for some reason. But yeah, I'm all about the prequel stuff, except for Star Wars, where we learn where all this shit comes from, because it's fun to watch the original stuff. But I think a lot of people put more thought into the prequels than, again, except for Star Wars, where they do the original, because the original is where they started, and the prequel is something they have to come back for later, typically. So I can appreciate that.
You're also backfilling a lot of stuff that might have been in the background, but now you're looking closer. It's like, oh, I got to come up with stuff that actually kind of fits what happens after, right? Which may or may not be what's really happening here. because there
Well,
is, I think, an attempt to make its own original story, in spite of the fact that it is a prequel.
well, you pointed out that one of these guys is going to go on to the main story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't know if he's this main story or a future story, so.
Yeah. That's
surprisingly older than I thought it would be. Given you pointed out a guy who looked to be past, or approaching middle age, rather. And I would have thought, oh, it's going to be the young girl or something, you know.
No, it's Rogue Fokker.
Okay, well. I think that's all I've got to say. You have any additional thoughts?
I mean, I as a fan of the series, I really like the dogfight, you know, the explanation of the giant robot's transformation and all that. They do spend quite a bit of that time. As for the alien stuff, to me, it's okay. But again, it gets a little weirder as we go on.
So don't get your hopes up on the bird alien stuff, is what you're saying.
I mean, not so much get your hopes up. Like, yeah, it's like you may love it or you may hate it, or you go like, you know.
I mean, it's precursor.
It's a precursor. So you know, there's a limit to what it is there. I think it'd be worth talking about when we get to that point.
I will say something that did come up in my mind when we're going over all that stuff was it did a little bit remind me of Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, because that is also Atlantean aliens come to Earth, fuck with everything, get into wars, kill themselves off, and then their stuff is still sitting around, to the point that at the end of Nadia, one of the big things crashes into the ocean on Earth, and it was meant to be like a prequel for Evangelion. That Evangelion was going to find that wreckage in the bottom of the ocean, and then be the basis from everything else there. So that the fact they're finding alien shit in the ocean, and it's got all this weird drawing shit all over it, which is what the Atlanteans had all over all their crap. It's like, oh wow, this could be Nadia, if not for the fact we've gone all mecha.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. I hope I'm pointing the right way. I don't know where we're going to be when the overlay eventually shows up. Been another Stone-Faced Reactions, watching Macross Zero. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?